right. Well, as you can see here by the title of the screen, and you probably felt it today, this heat is starting to become hard to ignore. The heat is starting to become hard to ignore. And so I think most of us know exactly what I'm talking about. If you were here last night for last night's forecast, I was talking about how a good amount of heat could be trying to come through, especially as we go into next week. So, all of that we're going to go on and talk about for tonight. That's the main point of focus. And what's on tap for tonight? Mostly dry with only isolated evening storms possible early tonight. Daily showers and thunderstorms continue with heat indices back up to 100 to 105 degrees tomorrow and Wednesday. Continued scattered showers and storms as we go into midweek to late week, and then persistent moisture or maybe even a little bit of a localized heavy rainfall threat as we move into this actual weekend going later on into the week. So we have a lot of stuff to go on and cover there. Give me just one quick second, real quick. All right, my apologies for that. I had an important phone call that just came through. So that's again my apologies. But that's the main thing that we have to talk about here for tonight. What's on tap. So starting off, what's going on in terms of our live radar? Well, for right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. We were expecting some severe weather tonight, and you can see that it's actually already kind of starting as early as 9 o'clock p.m. You can see we have a severe thunderstorm warning over here near Sally, South Carolina, Windsor, South Carolina, Oakwood, and Kitchings Mill, South Carolina. This is 60-mile-per-hour winds, and hail is going to be pretty small. So again, that's for Oakwood, Windsor, Sally, these areas inside of South Carolina. We do have some rainfall going on up here in Abbeville counties, and then some minor shower activity going on in northern Pickens County as well as northern Greenville County. We go on and scroll our way up, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. We do have some rainfall going on throughout the Northeast, going on in the Mid-Atlantic, and then we even have some rainfall going on over here inside of the Tennessee Valley, the Mississippi Valley, going on over there inside of the Northwest, Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska getting in on some severe weather, Colorado getting in on a tornado warning right now. So we do have tornado warnings going on out there as we currently speak. Now, what's going on in terms of our cloud cover? We do have some cloud cover up here inside the upstate, also some inside of the Midlands, and even inside of the PD areas. We have some cloud cover going on here. And if we go on and take a look at our cloud cover for the future, we go on and push this forward into tonight, going into tomorrow. Cloud cover activity really starts to get going as we move more and more throughout tonight. We go all the way into tomorrow morning, going into tomorrow afternoon. That cloud cover starts to lessen out a little bit tomorrow afternoon, but still pretty prominent throughout portions of the Low Country, PD, the Grand Strand areas. And then as you go all the way into tomorrow evening, going into tomorrow night and Wednesday morning, cloud cover activity kind of starts to clear out, and we really seem to try and clear out as we move all the way into Wednesday morning, going into Wednesday afternoon. Cloud cover moves down towards the south and east. So a bunch of stuff going on here in terms of cloud cover activity, but it's slowly kind of moving away. We look at our current temperatures right now. We're talking about 82 in Somerville, 83 Charleston, as well as Beaufort, 83 in Orangeburg and Columbia, as well as 83 in Myrtle Beach, Conway, Murrells Inlet, 80 in Union, 77 in Clemson, Greenville, 78 in Spartanburg, and 80 in York, 81 in Rock Hill. Air quality for tonight, we look okay. We have some moderates going on up there inside of the upstate. We have some over there inside of the western Midlands. But for the most part, we're looking green and good for the majority of us here in the state of South Carolina. Now, what about for our low temperatures for tonight? We're talking about 71 in Spartanburg, 70 Greenville, 72 Newberry, 75 Columbia, 76 in Orangeburg, as well as Moncks Corner, 78 in Charleston, 76 Georgetown, 78 in Myrtle Beach. So it's going to be a warm night tonight, and so that may push up that crazy score just a little bit. We'll see what happens there. High temperatures for tomorrow. We're talking about 89 in Greenville, 89 Spartanburg, 93 Columbia, Orangeburg, 92 in Sumter, Kingstree, 94 Georgetown, 90 Charleston, Moncks Corner, 91 in Myrtle Beach. Now, in terms of rainfall for the most part for tomorrow, going into tonight as well, so tonight and tomorrow, have run a good 1/10 of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch throughout the Midlands, going on over inside of parts of the PD areas. We even have a 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch for a good amount of us, the low country, PD areas, Grand Strand. Upstate getting in on maybe a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch or so. So rainfall is definitely going to be a possibility for pretty much the entire state as we move throughout the next 24 hours. But obviously, as we know, when it comes to summer, one side of town can receive rainfall, the other side may not. Heat index values for tomorrow, I forgot to mention, going to be pretty hot, especially in the low country and the Grand Strand areas. We're going to be up to around 104, 105 in the Grand Strand areas. You're going to see, some 103s or so in the low country. So I think the more you get towards that, the more towards you get to like the coastal regions you get, probably the warmer you're going to be in terms of heat index values. Now, if we go in and take a look at our SPC outlook for tonight, not rainfall, we already talked about that. Thunderstorm-wise, we're going to continue to look at that chance for severe weather. We're going to continue to go and look at that chance of severe weather, but I will say that slight risk is gone. Slight risk is gone. Here it is right here. We have a marginal risk of severe weather up in the upstate, up inside of the Midlands, even inside of the PD areas. Even inside the PD areas, we have the threat for some thunderstorm activity, some severe winds to come through of up to 60 miles per hour. Isolated, though, so it's only like a 5% risk or so. So not too bad. Not too bad at all here to really say. And as we go on and move into tomorrow's storm risk, we see a little bit of something in the low country, a little bit of something inside the Grand Strand and the PD areas in terms of thunderstorm activity. And then as you go on and move into day 3, which is Wednesday, another thunderstorm risk for the low country and the Grand Strand areas. Fire weather, we're not expecting anything there. So let's go and take a look at excessive rainfall, because tonight, isolated flash flooding is possible up there in the upstate, whether it be from Greenville to Spartanburg to Anderson and Clemson, all the way up into Gaffney. We have that risk for some isolated flash flooding, a 5%, so it's not that high at all. But here on the South Carolina Weather Channel, you guys know we take every risk seriously. We're going to look at the crazy score now, and we're at a 16 for tonight, so not bad. You see it says slightly breezy or cloudy, but I don't think that's really the main reason why it's there. I think the main reason why it's there is just because that isolated storm chance, that severe threat is kind of dying down, but it's still there, a marginal risk. And then just a very low risk, tranquil night for the most of us. But the ones that do receive those storms, we could potentially start to see those impacts start to go up a little bit. And obviously we have a severe storm going on, and we have a special weather statement that was issued for Abbeville County going over into Greenwood, 96, Joanna, Clinton, Waterloo, South Carolina. So those areas that were, that I was kind of talking about the storm for earlier, now is under a special weather statement for 40-mile-per-hour winds to move throughout those areas. Again, that's like Abbeville, Greenwood, 96, Cross Hill, Joanna, Clinton, these areas inside of South Carolina. So let's go on now and take a look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that. That is very, 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 very important to go on and take a look at, because if you lose track of what happens there, you may get lost, and so we don't want anybody to get confused or anything like that. We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. We go on and push this forward, and you can still see, even as we get to around 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, showers, storms, maybe still trying to go on. And there goes the main risk of severe weather moving in late tonight, 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning in the upstate. And once we get to around 7 o'clock in the morning, going to around 8 o'clock, a lot of that rainfall and that moisture is going to move up over into North Carolina, kind of leave us here in South Carolina, and we're going to be dry for the majority of honestly, for the morning of going into Tuesday, even going into the early afternoon. But as you get into the afternoon, we get to Tuesday, here we are, and we start to see a little bit of a front starting to form. You can see how it kind of moved its way over down into the south and east away from us. And watch as we get into Wednesday, things dry off a lot. And that's due to the dry air that just got moved in from a front that's coming in, bringing in some slightly cooler air. We'll look at it once we get towards the temperatures. But you can kind of see as this line moves away, we're getting drier. So now what's going on in terms of our long-term future? Well, we're going to start off here at the 48-hour mark. I was looking at some stuff earlier. But we're going to start off here at the 48-hour mark. And just as we go in and push this forward, you can see as we get to around Wednesday, going into Thursday, even inside of Friday, I mean, it doesn't really look that bad. We just get our regular shower and thunderstorm activity from summer. But watch as we get into this weekend. Some good rainfall may try to come in. Remember I said localized heavy downpours may be a bit of a concern this weekend. That could happen. And then as we go all the way through into Monday of next week, going into Tuesday and Wednesday or so, things again look a bit localized in terms of heavy rainfall, but it honestly gets better as you get later into the week next week. I even see a little bit of a high pressure starting to develop. But then as we move into late week next week, so not this week, but late week next week, another good storm system may try to come in. But all of that, that's all over the air. We're still going to have to wait to see what happens as we get into first couple of days of July or so. I mean, July 4th, for example, is still 294 hours out. And, I mean, honestly, as early as 274 hours out. So we still have a long way to go until we get there. So we have a lot of stuff to figure out before. Now, as we go on and see how much rainfall we're expecting over the next, 300, 400 hours or so. According to the GFS is not really showing much. I mean, it shows maybe like an inch and a half, maybe even close to around 2 to 3 inches or so in some spots in the upstate, but not a whole lot. And so we know that we have a drought throughout the state. We know that we need to see rainfall. If we only get an inch of rainfall in a lot of these areas that are in the red, we're not really going to see too much decretion in terms of the drought, and we may even see it trying to expand a little bit. I mean, we'll see what happens on Thursday, because I remember last week we got a good amount of rainfall during the afternoon, which obviously we know. With the drought monitor, they updated in the morning, so that rainfall was not included in it. But that's going to be taken into account, and then however else many rainfall that we do get from this week going into Tuesday, all of that we will be taking into account on Thursday evening if I'm there. I'll get more into that in a moment. But the GFS is not really showing much. And so we were kind of seeing that yesterday. What about the European? The European, even less. Even less. The European is saying an inch of rain for some spots over the next 360 hours. I mean, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. That's horrendous. That's like a very bad amount of rainfall throughout 360 hours. I mean, that goes out to July the 7th during summertime. I mean, that's 2 weeks and some change with only an inch of rainfall during the summertime. So if that really does occur, we're really going to have to be relying on these storms that kind of come in during the summertime, during the afternoon hours, to really drop some rainfall. Because no major storm systems are really expected to make it throughout the state as we move into the next couple of hundred of hours or so. And so I'll show you why right here. Had this up earlier. This is the geopotential height, and this just shows us what's going on in terms of the atmosphere. You have the low pressure, you have the more unsettled, more cooler than average weather up here in the northern parts. You have a more warmer ridge going on with some nicer conditions, some warmer conditions down inside the south. And what do you see with these nicer conditions? We have a huge ridge forming over there in the west. That's on June 24th or so. And then that ridge will move its way over into the east, and they're going to be receiving some storm systems over there inside of the west. They're going to be receiving some cooler weather potentially, but look over here where we are. I mean, this just shows a classic severe weather setup for people over in the central U.S. But watch how nice and watch how hot it tries to get over here inside of the eastern U.S. I mean, it shows absolutely nice but hot conditions. Now, it's summertime, so it still will, rain. I'm not saying that it's not going to rain at all for the next 200 hours. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that no major storm system is going to try and come in and really drop a lot of beneficial rainfall unless something out of the ordinary comes in, like maybe something going on over here on July 3rd, near July 4th. But we see like a little bit of a dip over here later on July 4th or so, and that may try to do something, but it may not dig deep down enough. It really just matters on how deep it digs. But the main thing I wanted to say, and the main thing I wanted to show, is that we have a huge ridge that's about to build, and that ridge is going to cause not only just higher temperatures, but it's going to cause nicer weather. It's going to cause drier weather, and for the drought, not a great thing at all. So that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the height in the atmosphere. So let's go and take a look at the actual temperatures themselves. So we're going to start off with the anomalies first. We're going to push this forward into Tuesday, going into Wednesday or so, and you're kind of just seeing a back and forth between some warmer conditions, some cooler conditions, and it kind of just stays like that. But as we move later on into the week, I'm starting to see some temperatures starting to get a bit higher, 10 to 15 degrees above average later on in the week. We get over into Saturday, going over into Sunday, then we're around 15 degrees above average. We move into Monday, or even over into Tuesday, and we still are kind of below average a little bit as we move later on into midweek next week. So that back and forth, warmer conditions and cooler conditions kind of equal themselves out as we get more and more into next weekend even as well. Now, we are seeing a bit of a warmer resurgence as we move later on into July, but again, that's 300 plus hours out, so I'm not really going to pay too much attention to that. The main thing that I'm just looking at here is just how there's not really one air mass completely just dominating. It's not just one air mass completely just dominating the entire time. It's kind of a mix between the both, and anytime you get one, it may, be around 10 degrees above average or 10 degrees below average at most, but other than that, not statewide. It's not dominating completely statewide, which is kind of what we were expecting during June. We kind of saw that we were going to receive just a near normal, not really too much above average, not really too much below average or so. So we're kind of just expecting that at this point. Now, as we go on and take a look at our actual temperatures like themselves, we go on and move over into tomorrow. We know what tomorrow's high temperatures are going to be. We move over into Wednesday or so. We're up into like the mid to upper 90s or so going into Wednesday, according to the GFS, Thursday, and Friday. Friday is the day that I'm watching for. 98, 99, maybe even close to 100 in some spots as we go into the weekend here. Saturday comes along, 100. Sunday comes along, 102. And then as we go all the way into next week, we're still seeing hotter temperatures trying to stay here. Now, as we go on and move into the GEFS, because once you get to around 200 hours out, things start to get a little bit uncertain and a little bit just kind of just unreliable, if that makes sense. We start to see temperatures, again, average out in the upper 90s. And the GEFS is saying that, not just one model. It's the GEFS, so that has, at least the ensemble has some high confidence that it's going to be hot, hot, hot as we get into parts of next week. Now, even as you end out the week, I mean, you're still seeing mid-90s, which, again, isn't as high as high 90s, but it's still pretty warm nonetheless. We continue more into July, and we're still seeing those mid-90s come along. And then finally, as we go on and take a look at our heat index values, that's the last thing I'll look at before we go on and talk with the audience. There goes a little bit of a cold front moving through as we move into Wednesday morning or so. Things kind of drop off a little bit, but temperatures aren't really going to drop off too much. It's still summertime, so temperatures aren't really going to drop too much. In terms of our feel-like temperatures, I'm really just watching for this weekend going into, Friday, going into this weekend, because I'm starting to see those heat index values getting up to around 101. I see some around 103, 104, 105. So we are starting to get pretty hot in terms of those heat index values, and so that's why the main part of the forecast for tonight was easily this heat is starting to become hard to ignore. That's the reason why I believe this heat is starting to become hard to ignore, and that's just because of everything I just laid out, from temperatures to we saw the ridge taking place. We see, not too much precipitation relief as well, and so it's going to be hard to ignore for us here inside the state of South Carolina. But with all that out of the way, let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say. So we're going to start off here with my Aunt Lula, who was here first tonight. She says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a wonderful day." Well, thank you so much for that. She also says, "Today in Georgetown, we had a high of around 92 degrees with a humidity of 100. Currently, it's around 83 degrees. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. Over where you are, let's see what's going on over here at my house. Currently, it's 85, but it feels like 95 at 9 o'clock p.m. It feels like it is 95 degrees outside. High temperature for today was around 92, and we actually got a little bit of a trace of rainfall today. Feel like temperatures got to around 105, 106 or so. We're going to continue our way down. Spent most of the morning doing yard work. However, I had to move inside. It was started getting pretty hot. Did some yard work today at my house as well. So that was around, I think I finished around 10, 11 or so, maybe somewhere close to 12. So it was pretty hot out there when I was out there, but got it done at least. Mr. Michael says, "Good evening, South Carolina. It's feeling like summertime in the low country." Absolutely it is. Trail says, "Greetings, Joseph. Greetings to you." And then my cousin Cheryl comes in and says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening, weatherman. A little cooler up here. A little cooler up here this evening. We had a bit of rainfall, so it's going to rain a little bit more, but all is well. Be blessed." Thank you so much for that. For your contribution to the chat for tonight and for that weather report. My Nana says, "Hello, Jane all. Hello to you." And then WFIN2 News says, "If you're looking for some extra graphics, I have a good site for it." And then he also says, "Would love to see you in my live weather and news broadcast. I'm watching severe weather." Well, I will tune in. I will tune into that and see what's going on there. I will tune in. I will tune in later. And also, if you have a good site for it, you can go in and email me on my scweather360@gmail.com. Let me go ahead and put it inside the chat real quick so you have it. scweather360@gmail.com. So go on and send the site over to that email. I will certainly go in and take a look at it. Then Thad comes in and says, "Good evening, just from the 360 Weather family. Good evening to you. I trust all is well with everyone. It was a phenomenal day here in San Antonio. Had a high of around 92, but we were thankful for the sunshine." Well, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for the weather report as well in your area. Mr. Daniel says, "It's humid. Still hot this evening. Humid and still hot this evening." Did my thing not go through? I don't think it did. Hold on, let me try this again. No, it did not. Let me try this one more time. Maybe this will work. No, that did not work either. Okay. I don't know why my email thing, at least on my chat, it's not going in. But the email is scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that's SC like South Carolina weather 360@gmail.com. I don't know why it's not working on my end. But that's it right there. Thad then also says, "If the weather is as nice tomorrow, I will be power washing the patio." Well, hopefully it is nice for you. And honestly, for you, I have some pretty good news for when it comes to that. So I think that you will enjoy it and you will be outside. And then Thad says, "Lastly, we are experiencing late blooms on our vegetables. Eggplants are coming in as well as squash and cucumbers." Well, I'm glad to hear about all of that. Glad to hear about all of that. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat for tonight. So pretty good chat tonight. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet as well, go on and do so. We have 22 people that have tuned in so far tonight, and we only have 9 likes. If you're a part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free, it's free, it's free. You know, I can never stress that enough. It is absolutely free. Absolutely free. And so that's all that I can see here throughout the chat. And so let's go on now and talk about the top fans of the night for tonight. You might be asking, top fan of the night for tonight. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, we ask a question here, and whoever can get that question correct goes on and becomes top fan of the night for tonight. So the main question for tonight was actually, it wasn't even going to be a question. Technically, it was going to be, technically it was actually going to be who went on and sent me an email tonight. But I just asked somebody to send something to my email. So if, I guess we can see real quick if that does count or so. So, you know, we're going to put a bit of a poll inside the chat real quick. And we're just, it's only going to take like 2 seconds or so. So should, let me put this real quick. Win top fan of the night tonight. So the poll's inside the chat right now. Polls inside the chat. I said, should WFIN2 News win top fan of the night tonight? I don't think they've ever won it before, so that would be a new one. And again, the question was originally just going to be, let's see who sent something to my email, but I told him to go in and send me something. So I'll see what the chat has to say. We'll see what the majority of people think. So we're going to start off here with San Antonio, Texas first, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Low temperatures tonight at around 77, high temperatures for tomorrow at 93, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow, but as you get into your future, no rainfall really just in general. I mean, you're looking good all the way from this week all the way into next week, so you have a bunch of time to go on and power wash your, patio. I mean, plenty of time. Plenty of time. Severe weather, I mean, excessive rainfall, I mean, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's going to be hot, though. I will say that, so make sure that you're aware, even as you get into next week, highs are still going to be into the upper 90s. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at around 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 68. Showers are likely as you go into tonight. Tomorrow, you also have another chance of showers there, and then tomorrow night, another chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. You do have a risk for some severe thunderstorms tonight, though, until around 11 o'clock p.m., a severe thunderstorm watch. Right now, it looks like that you have a special weather statement that has moved through already. Kind of was probably moved through when we started, but it was around 55 miles per hour, and just overall, it's not that bad. So I think that you're about to be done with that severe weather threat. You have some severe or some strong storms to your west in like Mocksville, North Carolina, moving east towards Greensboro. But that's a pretty far ways away from you at this point. Now, as we go on and take a look at your excessive rainfall outlook, you have nothing there. Severe weather for you, I kind of think that you're kind of done with it for right now, even though you do have a slight risk at 15% risk of damaging winds. Now, for your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be hot. I mean, it's going to be near 100 degrees for potentially a couple of days, from Friday going all the way into next week Monday. It could be 100 degrees for a good stretch there, so it's going to be very hot. Rainfall wise, you kind of take a little bit of a break Wednesday going into Thursday, but after that, rainfall does try to return. Let me go in and check out the chat right now. And so far, everybody has says that WFIN2 News should win top fan of the night for tonight, so that's what we're going to do. Congratulations to you for your first time ever winning top fan of the night for tonight. Congratulations to you for your first time winning top fan of the night for tonight. Hopefully you can win some more later on. We're going to talk about honorable mentions as well in just a moment. But before we get to that, let's finish off with Philadelphia and Duncan. You have low temperatures tonight in Philadelphia at around 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at around 78, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 62. Severe thunderstorms are possible tonight, and then showers are likely as you get into tomorrow, and a chance of showers tomorrow night. Severe weather, excessive rainfall for you. Looks like you do have a risk of severe weather for tonight, isolated, so not too bad. But a risk is still a risk, and honestly, I think that you're mainly done for that risk of severe weather. Yes, you still have some showers, you still maybe have some storms kind of around you, but honestly, I don't really see too much of anything, except for maybe some storms towards your north, maybe some showers towards your west, but nothing else too crazy. You do have a risk of excessive rainfall, though. I will say that risk is still there. How long will that last? Again, with all of your storms kind of moved off, it downgraded from a slight risk all the way down to a marginal risk. So you not only have an isolated flash flooding threat. And then for your future, finally, it does seem like that you will continue to kind of just be up into the 80s or so. In fact, you may even get up into the 90s as you get more and more into next week. Rainfall-wise, you're going to be pretty active as well, honestly. I really don't see too much of a break day, maybe except for Wednesday, but rainfall threats for the rest of the week. And then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 75. Showers are likely tonight, and then tomorrow there's another chance of thunderstorms. Tomorrow night, slight chance of thunderstorms there as well. Severe weather, excessive rainfall for you. Looks like that you are kind of receiving that risk of severe weather for tonight, and for tomorrow, and for Wednesday. So you have a good amount. And so tonight you have a risk of damaging winds, a risk of damaging hail, only isolated, small. And then the same thing for tomorrow, minus the hail threat, so only damaging winds. And then potentially another risk of severe weather on Wednesday. What are the hazards? Not quite listed yet, but we'll get them tomorrow night. Now, I will say this, though. You do have a risk of severe weather, but if we're not including the panhandle of Oklahoma, there's no rainfall falling throughout the entire state of Oklahoma right now. So maybe it's later tonight, possibly. And then for your future, because excessive rainfall-wise, you do have a risk for excessive rainfall tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So you have to be especially aware for that flash flooding risk. And then for your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be hot. I mean, it's going to be like near 100 degrees as you go into the end of the weekend, going into Monday of next week. And then precipitation chances kind of end as you get into Wednesday. So now with all of that out of the way, let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. in terms of our weather news. It looks like right now, severe thunderstorms will still remain possible in the Mid-Atlantic through Tuesday. Severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall will also be possible in the central and the southern plains on Tuesday and Wednesday. Hazardous heat will linger across the southern U.S. and build across the west through midweek. Hot and dry weather will create elevated to critical fire weather conditions in the four corners of the region as well. So that's pretty much all we have here. Don't think I have anything else really to say, except for if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It seems like right now that we have around a good 27 people that have tuned in tonight and only 9 likes. So if you're a part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Honorable mention for the night for tonight, not too much, just my Aunt Lula and Thad. So them two are the honorable mention for tonight. Congratulations to the two of y'all for being those honorable mentions. And that's all I have to say here. So I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Tuesday morning forecast update, and also tomorrow evening for your Tuesday evening forecast update. Remember, I said that later on this week, I don't know the days quite yet, I still need to ask, but I will most likely not be here, so just letting you know early, so nobody's asking, where I am and all that kind of stuff, but I will not be here later on this week. I'll let you know the days, probably either tomorrow evening, Wednesday, somewhere around that time frame. But that's all. Hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you're new. And everyone have a fantastic rest of your Monday evening.